Visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Yes, so happy to have you with me. It's been a while. Yes, it has. And some of you are thinking, Larry, I miss you. Well, I miss you too. I have been crazy busy. We had a holiday. Then I was actually at a special camp with my daughters. I'm having a great time, enjoying some of the outdoors of New York State, which I do so much. I'm not only a city kid, I am definitely a city kid, but I'm also someone who enjoys the glory of the outdoors of New York too. So a little bit of that too. And then just last weekend, I was in Memphis, Tennessee. And I got to tell you, there was a disappointment in Memphis. And it wasn't the city itself. The city itself still has great history and culture, of course. The part that was disappointing to me was there were so few people on the streets. It was not the vibrant live city I remember from many years ago. I've been in Memphis many years, maybe 30 years ago. 20 years ago. I forgot. It was a long time ago. And it was much more of a vibrant, pumping city. Now, it's kind of dead. And I was asking some of the locals, why? Like, what happened? Is it me? Have I remembered it wrong? Is that what I did? I remembered it wrong? And I just made up this cool place in my mind and it really wasn't that? And they said, no, you're right. It was lockdowns. The lockdowns that crushed Memphis and made it very different and made it a city to where now it's shut down and people haven't come back out. And the people who've been hurt by it, the people who are mentally ill, the people who are homeless, their problems have been doubled and tripled. And you can see it throughout the city. It is a problem. And I felt bad. The crime was very bad. It was terrible. People were afraid. It was an issue. I'm hoping that somehow we can fix this. And you might say, wait a minute, Larry. You worried about fixing Memphis. What about New York City, Rochester, Albany, Buffalo, Binghamton? Aren't they hurting too? They are. But the plans to help one city can help the others too, right? Because the lockdowns crushed a whole lot of cities, not just Memphis, not just Rochester, not just New York City, a bunch of cities. It really did. But it made me think about punishment and enforcement. So when I maybe think about something specific, a business example. And that example was when I was in the corporate world several years ago, I feel like a lifetime ago. There'd be a meeting, say a sales meeting as an example, and some of the people wouldn't show to the meeting. And the boss who was there will get mad and say, I'm mad. Can't believe these people didn't show up to the meeting. And they start yelling at us. These people think this, and you guys had better give me respect. And he was yelling at the people who showed up. So the people who did the right thing got yelled at. And the people who didn't show up, well, they were having a grand time. So he then decided to make the meetings harsher and more stuff and earlier. I thought, wait a minute. I did the right thing and I got what? What? Something's wrong here. But that's how it was. And he was mad. He was going to shake his fist and show us how powerful he was by punishing the wrong people. Yes. Government is no better. Government will very often punish whoever they can punish, and the people who actually did the bad thing they walk away. Or the people who aren't paying attention, they walk away. He'll punish the people he can punish. Someone's getting punished. I remember a similar thing for football practice when I was in high school. Some of the kids wouldn't go to football practice, so we had to run extra laps. What? I showed up. Why am I running the extra lap? But that would happen constantly. Now, in everything I just brought up, it actually isn't life and death, right? I brought up business, football, not life and death. A pain in the butt, but not the end of the world. And I can leave my job if I don't like it, and I can quit my football team if I don't want to. It's all fine. But I want to bring up something more important. That actually is life and death. When I was in Memphis, I was worried and concerned. Many people were. And in New York, worried, concerned. But I noticed something in Memphis, and now it's happening here in New York. You look at a security guard in Memphis in one of the clubs or bars, and he's stacked with a bulletproof vest, extra ammunition, 1 or 2 firearms. Again, not that I'm against that. You do you. If that's effective for your business, I have no problem with that. But my problem is no one else gets that. Only the security guy. And he's probably an off-duty cop. That's my assumption. I don't know that to be true. I assume that to be true. So now I come back to New York. Also a problem. Issues and concerns. Worries. What are they doing in New York? Well, in case you don't know, in New York State, it's against the law to wear body armor. You can't wear body armor. It's against the law. Why? Because bad guys wear body armor. And bad guys who don't follow the law will be wearing body armor because they don't follow the law. But people who follow the law-abiding citizen, cannot wear body armor. Well, the argument is, well, Larry, you don't need body armor. So what's wrong with you? You don't need body armor. So who needs body armor? See, I'm smarter than you. I get to tell you what to do, Mr. Smarty Pants Larry Sharpe. You don't get to wear body armor. So now, with that in mind, New York State has decided we're now going to allow our school security officers to have body armor. I'm not joking. So now the enforcers get body armor. Now, if I thought the goal of the officers in the schools, I thought that was true. Their goal was to protect the kids. So if anybody's getting body armor, shouldn't the kids get body armor? If anybody's getting it, if the government's going to write a check for body armor and you're supposed to protect the kids, wouldn't you give them the body armor? No. The resource officer gets it. And to be clear, I'm not against the resource officer getting body armor. Good. Again, if you think that's the right answer for security for the school, awesome. You do you. Not mad. But why can't I get it? Why can't the school kids get it? Or the teachers get it? Now you might go, Larry, now you're going to arm the teachers? No, not mandatory. But if they want to, why can't they? I don't want the government to issue everybody body armor. That's not what I'm saying. What I want is the government to not stop someone who wants to wear body armor to wear body armor. If you want to, up to you. Again, no judgment. You do you. But why does the government take our taxpayer dollars, give it to the school resource officers, and then give it to the cops who will arrest me if I want to wear it? So we now have protection for the enforcers, but not for the victims. Now, the criminals won't pay attention to the law, so they will also wear body armor because they don't care what the law is. Hence, they are criminals. They don't care about the law. If they did, they wouldn't be criminals. So they will wear body armor. and the enforcers at our taxpayer dollars will wear body armor. Okay, how about us? We are the victims to both of them. Yes, to both of them. We pay for both of them. It's more violent from the criminals, but we're paying for the cops too. So we pay, everybody gets body armor, but us. We're the ones who are paying. How did that work? And if you ask the average New Yorker, particularly a city dweller, most of them will say, it's fine, okay. Or yes, that's right. They won't be upset about it. I was upset when I got yelled at by my boss when I showed up to the meeting. I was mad at my coach when I had to run the extra laps at football practice because other people didn't show up. And I'm mad because I'm not able to have the same rights and protection that the criminals and the enforcers get. This is the part that bothers me. Again, I'm not against body armor, and I don't think you have to wear it. It's totally up to you. It's unfair, it's wrong, and we are rewarding bad behavior, and we are punishing victims. This is New York State, sadly. Again and again and again. Am I wrong? You can tell me. You can call in if you want to. 585-346-3000 is the number. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio, back with your calls and your internet chat after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row.
And we have Keith from Rochester.
If your website doesn't match your
You're welcome.
or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations
Sorry,
a
a
call
few
today
weeks
for a
off, made me
consultation
forget to
at
mute your feed.
585-200-3192.
That's why you got the echo.
That's 585-200-3192.
Same here.
SimpleTech Innovations.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help. Flower City Collision in Henrietta is your hometown body shop, trusted by numerous corporate fleets, properly insured and registered in New York. Flower City Collision specializes in working with insurance companies on your behalf. Having built a culture where they respect the customer and their employees as well, Flower City Collision has assembled the best collision team in the Rochester area. If you need repair, reach out to Zach at Flower City Collision in Henrietta, and he will work with your national insurance company on your local behalf to ensure you get the repair you need done right.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. You can call if you want to chat with me, 585-346-3000 is the number to chat. And before the break, I was talking about government protecting the enforcers and the criminals and not the victims, about them issuing goods to our enforcers through our taxpayer dollars, but not allowing us to have the same. And I have a call. I'm going to grab one if I can. This is Keith from Rochester. Keith, how are you, sir?
For a libertarian, you sure are going off on flights of fancy and spending lots of taxpayer dollars. What we need in the schools is to reintroduce morality and discipline. Instead of body armor, get the young people into school uniforms, get them to calm down, respect themselves, have pride in themselves and their schools, and not beat up on the teachers. When a young person is well dressed and they don't have to be envious of what other kids are wearing, school uniforms are very good. The problem is we have a country today that's like the wild open West, where morality has filtered away, and groups like the ACLU would come back to someone like me and say, no, constitutionally, you cannot demand that the young people wear school uniforms. But I want to bring up several points.
You always give me good stuff, Keith, and I appreciate the call. Let me grab a couple of those if I could. Me saying that I am advocating for spending money on body armor, that's not true. I said if a local school district thinks it's the right answer, they should be able to. I literally said I'm not about issuing everybody body armor, but I want local control of schools. If that local school district thinks that's the right answer, they should try it. The state should not be involved in that at all. So that would be you petitioning your local school board, your local school to say, hey, we want body armor, or we don't. I'm also not against uniforms. But again, I don't want the state to decide this. If a local private school, even a public school, in my view, again, in my perfect world, as you brought it up, we would have lots of options for schools. My last policy for school was every kid, the money follows the kid. $18,000 per kid into every school district with no strings attached from the federal government, no strings attached from the state government. And if a parent wants to pull their kid out of school and put them either in homeschooling or private schooling, they get a $6,000 credit and still the ability to use the district facilities, like the football team, or the library, or the math club, or whatever. In my perfect world, not perfect, my better world in New York State, if that were to happen, now if you want to have school uniforms, okay, I'm okay with that. And hopefully other districts would watch and see, did the uniforms work? Did they not work? Did it work for this area? Not for that area? I'm okay with any of those things. I'm not okay with the state mandating. That's my issue. And the last piece about the ACLU, you are 100% correct. I wish you weren't, Keith, because the ACLU used to be a place you could respect and be proud of. Those days are long gone.
All right. I see where you're coming from, and without belaboring it, I don't disagree basically with what you're saying. You say proudly you're a New Yorker. I want to bring up here good behavior being punished, and it has to do with legal gun owners. There are 1,791 gun shops in New York.
I didn't know that.
The state is represented by Hochul and Letitia James, the AG. They are going after rightful gun owners and allowing the bad guys to take the streets. Why, in your estimation, is the state, the super Democrat majority in Albany, insistent on hurting legal gun owners by penalizing them on their God-given Second Amendment rights? Why are they taking the rights away from the good gun owners and placating the criminal all over the place?
Yes, I don't think placating the criminal is the actual goal. I think that's the outcome of policies that make their cronies powerful, that make their cronies money. So I think the criminal part is a byproduct. I don't think they won necessarily, but they're fine with it. Because if it gets bad, what you see, particularly in the cities, is people still keep asking for more government. So as things collapse and get worse, people don't try to fix it. They ask for government. That part goes with the gun part. If I'm taking guns away from legal gun owners, there is no one to protect you, no one to make things right, except government. In the long run, Keith, this is about compliance. It's all about compliance. And any byproduct that comes from that to gain compliance is an acceptable byproduct, even if that is violence, even if that is chaos, as long as in the long run, more and more people are complying. And I think you saw that in the lockdowns. You saw most New Yorkers just comply. Does that make sense at least?
Yes, in one sentence, the
Another
bad
call
guys
on
are
hold.
being allowed off the hook, and good rightful gun owners are being hurt. And with
Yes.
that, there's another caller for you, so I politely will let you go. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, my friend Keith. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. Let me
Michael from Binghamton.
quickly bring up the idea that most of the time, the government is not looking at your long-term health or well-being at all. Just keep that in mind. Let me grab another call if I could. I will grab Mike from Binghamton. How are you, sir?
Hello, Larry. I'm doing well.
Oh, it's the Dragon of the Southern Tier. How are you, Michael Voss? How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. I love this topic because it's really important. New York is the testing ground for what we're seeing around the nation, which is why you're seeing Memphis is such a mess. But the thing is about this, why can't we have body armor? Why can't teachers have the choice to be armed to protect their kids?
Sure.
This is about fear. This is what this is. They're using fear. You know, look at Hollywood. You can't have body armor. Only bad guys wear body armor. Look at every movie you ever see. Good guys, they're always unarmed. They have no body armor, but they're fighting bad guys that do. You should be afraid. Only bad people do that. And you have to vote us in, so we will protect you.
Yes.
And that's
I think this goes back to my point, right? I think Keith was kind of like, I think his point was, look, we're hurting the legal people. And again, logically, Keith is correct, right? Logically, we all know that legal gun owners are statistically less likely to commit felonies. So the more legal gun owners you have, the less crime you will have by default, right? That's just, even if they don't protect anybody, they don't commit felonies at the levels that non-legal gun owners do. So Keith is logically correct, but I think your point is a more important one. It isn't about the logic. It is a separate agenda.
Yeah, this is all about, if you're afraid, well, then you're going to, what do we say? We turn to the politicians and go, do something, not do the effective thing, not the efficient thing, just do something. So they say, great, we'll take away your Second Amendment rights, we'll take away your self-defense, and we'll help empower our cronies, our buddies, our private,
yes.
AOC has her own private armed security. They're going to do all that, and you just get to, keep your head down, stay quiet, and they'll eventually get to us. This is about protecting their
They're more important than us, Mike. That's the issue. AOC is way more important than the plebs like us. We're not important anymore. Only she's important now.
Even though she swore an oath to serve, not to lead, not to dictate, but to serve. It doesn't make sense to me. And this is why we see, like in Atlanta, the defenders of the Atlanta forest. What are they? They're an insurrectionist autonomous zone. They break every law in the country. We have them in Brooklyn as well. We've got them in Boulder and then over in California. What do? They break the law. 6,000 people rioted in New York State, burned down cities. Manhattan, how many businesses did they break into? And they all got to walk away. They just wiped out the charges.
There is I think it was a Walgreens or CVS, one of the two, in my neighborhood here in Queens. Literally, they spray painted on the wall when they left, shoplifted out of business. That's how bad it was. I think you're right. It happens everywhere. And here's the worst part. When that happens, this is the harshest part. Now the neighborhood's worse off because there's one less Walgreens in the neighborhood. The neighborhood is less lively. The neighborhood has less resources for the people who live there. So now the neighborhood is actually worse off. It's lose-lose for everybody here.
Except for the politicians, because they got reelected.
Well, they don't live here. So, yeah, they live in D.C. or in Virginia. Yes, absolutely. Mike, thank you for the call. I appreciate it, brother.
You're welcome.
Look, I think this is the biggest piece of them all. Whether it was Keith calling or Mike calling, the elites are winning and we're not. 585-346-3000 is the number. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. Back with your calls and more of your chat. I promise I will get to the internet chat after the break.
For truth and freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Clearing skies. The smoke is leaving the region, and it should be a nice and comfortable. Humidity gone as well. We'll drop into the 50s and 60s. A beautiful summer day coming up on Wednesday. Plenty of sunshine, light breeze, low humidity, temps near 80. Enjoy it as the mugginess comes back on Thursday, and it heats up back into the mid-80s, and we may get some thundery downpours late Thursday into Friday. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
See the new models, new technology, and a new way of buying at Ralph Honda. The 2023 Hondas are fuel efficient, spacious, and sporty with something for every Honda lover. Customize yours at ralphhonda.com or in our showroom. Find your next Honda at Ralph Honda.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russian war and the need for U.S. drilling continues. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. If you're an SEC accredited investor and have at least $75,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you can write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future. Call 800-278-7455. Encore Energy is a Christian-owned company and an experienced investor and operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call Encore now at 800-278-7455. That's 800-278-7455.
Youth for Christ Rochester, a youth development organization in downtown, is dedicated to changing city kids' lives through life and relational leadership coaching and finding their purpose and destiny in Christ. Now, in addition to our Friday night basketball and P31 Girls, the Fatherhood Initiative, Summer Camp, we've added YFC Arts Academy. To get connected or find out more, check out our Facebook page at Youth for Christ Rochester or go to yfcrochester.org/donate.
Geneseo Hardware and Rental has all your project needs from inside to outside, underground or in the air. A wide range of rental items, boom lifts, trencher, stump grinder, post hole diggers.
We got a caller, Craig Miles.
Geneseo Hardware offers spring and winter.
You know Craig, right?
Best hardware store in Livingston County.
Good guy, yep.
Open daily, including Sundays. Get personalized service. Geneseo Hardware and Rental, Route 20A next to Wegmans Plaza. Just minutes from Kinesis Lake.
When you're looking for a job that has meaning, one that makes a difference, then the Mary Cariola Center wants to hear from you. The Mary Cariola Center helps children and young adults with developmental disabilities and complex medical needs. They're now hiring teachers, teaching assistants, aides, and more. You get competitive wages, good benefits, and the opportunity to grow a career filled with challenges and rewards. Apply today at marycariola.org. Click on employment. That's Mary, CARIOLA.org.
At AirQuip, it's all about your comfort. Comfort with our company, comfort with our team, and most importantly, comfort in your home. As a trained comfort specialist, we adhere to the highest standards of customer service, training, and industry expertise. With a trained system from AirQuip, you'll get the best products, honest prices, and service that's unparalleled. We are your home comfort specialists. Find out more at airquipheating.com.
AirQuip Heating and Air.
At Ralph Honda, we know car buying has changed, and so have we. Visit ralphhonda.com to value your trade, get instant credit approval, schedule service, even build and customize your next car. It's a whole new way of doing business, online and at Westridge Road. Ralph Honda.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, it is Larry Sharpe here, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio, the number to call to chat with me. You can tell me I'm right or wrong, even though I'm always right. Tease, obviously. Oh, am I? 585-346-3000. Been talking about the unfairness of punishing victims and not allowing people to be free, but then spending money on enforcers and allowing criminals to get what they want. So the only people hurt are the victims and the innocent. Not the right answer, but boy, do we keep doing it. Let me grab another call if I could. I'm going to grab Craig. How are you, mister?
I'm not bad. How are you, Larry?
Awesome. What's going on?
Oh, I was just calling because, I mean, it's the classic struggle. It's the rulers and it's the peasants. And I don't know. Yes. And people like being peasants, apparently, because we keep voting for it. So are we going to change that? How are we going to change that? I mean, Kathy does what she wants, and we take it.
Absolutely. Our queen, Her Majesty Queen Kathy, first of her name, destroyer of the middle class, supporter of the elite. She does what she wants, and we do nothing but sit back. But, Craig, you know, I'm still trying. Yes, I am. I just don't seem to stop. By the way, if you're listening to this, I will be up in Monroe County this Saturday, 6 p.m. If you're going to go over to my website, LarrySharpe.com, on my Facebook page, Larry Sharpe Facebook page, I'm starting to put up all of the events. They'll be going up today and tomorrow. I will be up there. I'll be in Utica, North Utica on Thursday. I'll be in Syracuse on Friday. I'll be out in Orleans County, Ontario County, Wayne County, Yates County, and Monroe County out in Webster. All this weekend, I am out there. So if you want to come see me, you may. Did I lose, Craig?
Oh, I'm here. I lost you there. I heard your pitch, but then that was the end of it.
Well, that was a good pitch, Craig, so I'm glad you heard it.
I heard the whole pitch, so that was good. Yeah, no, that is one of the ways I think is the winning of the hearts and the minds. But there's just such a boulder to keep pushing. Are we going to make it?
This is the thing I keep bringing up and why I keep pushing. Because there is a tipping point. There is a tipping point to where all of a sudden that it will turn and change. I don't know where that tipping point is, sadly. I don't know how far away. Is it a year from now? Is it 10 years from now? I don't know. Can we hold out long enough to get to that tipping point? And I feel like if I just keep going, that eventually I'll hit that tipping point and we can save this state. Why would I fight so hard for this state? Why do I spend so much time doing this? And those of you who know me know I spend a lot of time doing this. Because I honestly believe two things. Thing number one, I do love this state. It's a beautiful state. I talk about it all the time. I pitch it all the time because it is a beautiful state. It is it's devastating to me to see how our government has destroyed this state. It is so oppressive. It pushes people away and breaks up families, and we lose 300,000 people a year when we should be gaining 1 million a year. This is a wonderful, amazing state. I do believe that. But secondly, I also care about my country. And if we can fix it here in New York, if we can hold it here in New York, we can hold it and fix it anywhere. This is the battleground. If it stops here, Michael just a last call. He said it. He's right. He said New York's a testing ground. Yes. So if it fails here, it doesn't go to the other states. It doesn't go anyplace else. So yes, Craig, and I keep fighting. So I'm either crazy or stupid or maybe both. I don't know, but I do keep pushing.
No, and I think so. I've been down on the situation for a while now because it doesn't seem like there's much of a difference happening. But I was watching someone the other day, and they were speaking about mass formation psychosis, and they said at the very least, if you are fighting for what you know is right, if you're fighting and everybody else are the crazy people and they're going along and you're like, what am I doing? At the very least, you're making sure that 100% of the population is not brainwashed because you're there with the other 2%. And I said, okay, yes, I think that's a noble cause in and of itself.
There we go. Keith, you listening? Craig's giving you a message. Keep fighting. Don't stop. He's got your message for you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got to keep going. So, one last thing. I know there's a lot of conservative and Republican listeners on this radio station. I was out at Freedom Fest, and I met with a Republican chair. He was bragging about how he ran in Nancy Pelosi's district. He knocked out the incumbent in the primary. Well, it wasn't the incumbent, Nancy Pelosi was, but anyway, the front runner. He knocked her out. Wanted to make all these changes, and then he got he didn't say this, but as far as I could tell, he got swallowed by the swamp. I asked him about third parties. I said, how is third party ballot access in California? He says, it's terrible, but the libertarians are good. I said, I didn't ask about the libertarians. He was trying to let me know that I was good, right? I don't care.
Right.
And then he was like, I asked him, I said, so is there any willpower for anyone to change it? And he says, well, nobody likes that third parties aren't. And I'm like, I just tuned out, and I wasn't mean to him, and I probably should have been. But here's a man who told me that he was the chair of 16 different Republican things out there. He's got the power. And he's like, yeah, well, no one likes it. So for anyone that supports Republicans, know that they are standing in our way here in New York, just like the Democrats are. And they have the power, and they could put us on there, but they don't want to because they don't want a third option, because they're afraid about their meal ticket. And just like that guy, they want to be able to fly around the country and drink cocktails and brag about themselves, and they don't care about 100%. You.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call, brother.
Thank you.
I think he's right. The enemies aren't the average, everyday individual voter, right? That's not our enemy. Our enemy are their leaders. These are the people who are gaining and winning every time, regardless of the outcome of the vote. Right? The Republican Party in New York State hasn't won a statewide election in 22 years, but they're doing fine. The Democrats are winning. They're doing better, but they're all doing okay. All the leaders are. But what about the average Republican, the average Democrat? They're not doing any better. The leaders are winning. They're the ones who are winning. We're not. That's absolutely true. Let me grab a couple of comments from the chat. I got a bunch of people chatting, and I appreciate it. Joe says, law enforcement should be treated equal as we the people. Well, yes and no. This may not sound very libertarian, but I get why you'd want to have a special feeling or emotion for the enforcers. I get that. I get that logically. But when it comes to being treated under the law, you're right? I should be able to wear the same, that they can wear. Now, I get that the state is going to pay for them. They're enforcers. I understand that. The state will issue them the goods to do their job. But shouldn't we have the same right if we want to either voluntarily collectivize, decide we want to create our own community policing or something like that, or individually say, hey, wait a minute, I want it. I think you're completely right there. That really is an important piece, Joe. Thank you for that. Sam says, once everyone moves/leaves jobs, it's harder for an economy to restart. The supply chain is different, and the presence of educated/skilled workers need to be refreshed too. There is no pause button. Sam, that is brilliant. You are correct. You can't pause an economy for 2 years. You devastate it. You're right. And I think that's what happened clearly in Memphis. But I think, to Michael, the caller earlier, I think to his point too, across New York City and across all the cities. It happened in Rochester. It happened in Buffalo, New York, Memphis, all over. Once you say stop for 2 years, that's habit forming. Now people physically pack up, to your point, Sam, and move away, or quit their job or stop working. And now I've got a 2-year gap in my resume that nobody wants to hear about, right? Or I got accustomed to not going to work anymore. And now I've got to change my mindset to going back to work, which some people jump right on board. Some people are going to struggle. So what does that mean? They get a job and they suck at it, or they're bad at it and they lose their job. So now you got a broken resume and you lost the first job you got because you're not ready to go back because your head's not in the game. So all of that stuff, I think you're totally right. And then the other point you just said, what happens when the skilled and educated workers moved away? How are you going to bring them back? You can't. You don't have customers. So you don't have the money to do so. Yes, I agree. Patty says, I guess your cell phone is the only body armor you can sport. And wow, you're right. That's a bad thing. All I can do is hope that the bullet hits my cell phone, or I got to use it to show the cops what happened. So when they come by and pick it off my dead body, at least they can arrest the right guy. I guess that's good. Is it? I'm not sure. She goes on to say, the minimum wage paid security in schools. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said to Keith. I'm not against you giving raises to your security guards. Up to you. But why is the state deciding? The school district should decide. Do they think that this is an important position and they should pay more? Do they think it's not? In which case, now it's security theater. If you're just paying your guy or gal minimum wage and not outfitting them, it's to make you feel good. It's security theater, not security. So I think that's a key point also. I appreciate that, Patty, tremendously. Yes, I am still taking more from the chat. You guys are very busy. Thank you. I'm glad you're watching both online, and I'm glad you're listening to WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio, 585-346-3000. Back with your calls and more of the internet chat after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182.
We got Roger from Nassau County.
That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Don't hate your home. Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy. The Energy Star Contractor of the Year, Wise Home Energy would like to thank our clients and employees for this prestigious award. For the 6th year in a row, thank you for choosing Wise Home Energy for solving your ice issues, improving hot and cold rooms, and reducing high energy bills. So don't hate your home. Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy at 585-270-5836 today.
To celebrate State Farm's surprisingly great rates, we gave this song surprisingly great lyrics.
I love that rate on my new ride. State Farm will be up and the stars align on both my home and auto policies. I switched and saved, now I feel great. Gonna tell
Call State Farm Insurance Agent A. Christina Green-Hale today, 225-8480.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio, 585-346-3000. Talking about the idea of shutting down and then not being able to pick back up. The idea of hurting people who are doing the right thing and not supporting people, right, who are doing the right thing, and instead allowing our enforcers and our criminals to keep going. It is nutty. Let me get back to the phones. I want to grab Roger, if I can, from Nassau. Roger, how are you, sir?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to say this real quick. All these problems we have come down to one problem and can be solved with one solution.
Okay.
The power of direct democracy in our government via citizen ballot initiatives, so we can ratify our own initiatives into our state constitution, in the workplace and in business via worker cooperatives, and in elections through ranked choice voting and competitive public financing of elections and ballot measures. Point blank. I have more trust in Keith, who I don't agree with on any of these political parties and the politicians, than on any of these politicians and the political parties.
Roger, that is brilliant what you just said. And the key piece you just said that I love is you said, I have more trust in Keith, who I don't agree with, than I have with our politicians. And I get that completely, because both you and Keith want your communities to be better. Our politicians don't. So even if you disagree, you're still looking for the right solutions.
Mm-hmm. So
I love that. That's amazing. You know, that actually is one of, if not the best discussion or the best reason I've heard for more direct democracy. And by the way, you know, I agree with you. I think more direct democracy is better, even though I want to be clear because people get mad at me. It's not perfect. No system's perfect. Direct democracy will not be perfect, but it's way, way, way better.
Yeah. So New Yorkers like me and Keith can align on this issue. This is a unifying issue. Both of us don't like the Democrat Party for different reasons. Me, I think they're not left enough. He thinks they're too far left. But shouldn't we have the opportunity to have this fight out on the ballot so we can let the New Yorkers decide, not Albany? He should press his GOP state lawmakers to sponsor this amendment that allows for us this option. I will push mine.
I think that's brilliant because, you know, it's funny. If you look at states with this, you know, you look at how states, how the people would react compared to the leaders, right? And I'll use a left and a right issue. When it comes to protecting women's reproductive rights, abortion rights, Kansas, the leaders are all against it. But the people in the ballot initiative said, no, we want to keep it. In New York State, we don't have it, but if we did, the reverse would happen with school choice. Most New Yorkers want school choice, but the leaders don't. So in both cases, in a blue state of New York and a red state in Kansas, the people want something that the leadership doesn't. And so to your point, you're right. Whether you lean left or lean right, the people should still get what they want. I think that's a great answer. More direct democracy is better. But you've also pushed into something else, Roger. You've pushed into the idea of more direct democracy in business. And I think you're right there too. Because if you have more direct democracy, you will have a whole lot less union fighting, striking, a whole lot less. Because the people will have, the workers will have more ownership in the business. And then they're just voting as business owners, not as fighting union versus management. I think you actually have, you'll probably have better work environment. Again, not perfect. There'll be businesses who suck. They'll make bad decisions, right? It will happen. But again, I think it will be better in general if people have the right voluntarily to decide to be more co-ops. I agree with both of those points. I think we've lost Roger. Awesome.
We have the power of self-correction.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yes. And we have the power of self-correction. Oh, again, another piece I want to bring up. Another great point. When we have laws now that suck, they never go away. We keep them forever. But if you can change them with ballot initiatives, when we make the mistake and do the dumb law, we can go, you know what? That was a dumb law. Let's get rid of it. Let's change it.
That's called the veto referendum.
A veto referendum. You even have all the names.
Yeah.
Nicely done. I appreciate that.
The ballot initiative creates and a veto referendum to repeal. So imagine if we had a commission or some type of citizen commission or whatever that would, if we had that power to do that, we look at all the laws and go over them, and we could go, that law from 1914, let's repeal it. That law from 1982, let's do a veto referendum. You know, to look down all the laws and see, does this make sense anymore? I mean, people don't have VCRs anymore, so why do we have this regulation? You know, stuff like that.
Right. Agree. I love that. I want to say thank you so much for the call, Roger. That's amazing. Thank you.
No doubt.
All righty. So the thing that I agree with a lot of what he said, obviously. But the part that really struck me is when he said that he trusts Keith more. As do I. I mean, I do too. I do believe that both Roger and Keith, and to be forward, Craig and Michael too, I think all of these people want better communities, want a better state, want a better nation. And if we had this conversation out front, if we were able to make this happen, we'd probably be able to agree on several things. Or if we didn't, if we then follow with my idea of localization, Keith would be allowed and not forced by the state to have his community his way. And then Roger will be allowed to have his community his way. And they could look and go, which one's working better than the other? Which one has the good parts that I want to pick up and the bad parts that I don't want to do? And we'd actually have that live experiment in the local world. I love the piece. I love that completely. Sal says, to Roger's point, I think all laws should have sunset clauses. Yes, I think particularly if you don't have what Roger's talking about, yes, absolutely. I think absolutely that's the right answer, right? I would, in my view, do a 6-year sunset clause across the border, all laws, all of them. And whenever I say it, someone goes, but then Larry, what if we don't, vote on murder and then murder is legal? Let's assume for a moment somehow they forget to ratify murder. I mean, that whole idea is stupid, but let's say it happens. They screw up and they forgot to ratify murder, and murder is now legal, right? Because there's no law on it, right? Whatever. Even if that were true, the first guy who they want to charge with murder, and they go, we can't, there's no murder law. That guy gets whatever, the other law, manslaughter, and then they do murder again. It's fine. Maybe one guy only gets manslaughter if that's a thing. I don't know, maybe. But that's all. It's not a thing. It is a great idea, Sal. I would like both, right? That would be even better, but I'll take it. Patty says, I thought the state assembly should review old laws and make motions to abolish or change them. They can, right? But this is the part that people fight Roger on. They say, and they're technically correct, that a state assembly can put ballot initiatives on the ballot. That's true. But it shouldn't be them who does it. It should be us who can do it, Patty, not them. You're correct. They could do that, but they never do. And that's why it has to be us and not them. So just to be clear, there is a mechanism. It's just the useless mechanism. So technically, we can do it, but just not really. Look, direct democracy is not the be-all, end-all. It doesn't solve any problem. But is it better? Yes. Particularly because we have elites and oligarchs who control us, don't respect us, don't care about us or our communities. We have to fix it, and we can. Guys, thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.